Markplier beat FNAF 2 1020 mode 3 days ago, and then he did it after cheating on his first time after 12 years. So today I've analyzed the video, I'm gonna clear a few misconceptions that people have, and I'm also gonna explain a few things that aren't quite clear from his video. So I'm also gonna be kinda reacting to the video.
Fast, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I have a confession to make. The video where I claim to be 1020 mode in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is not legitimate. I cheated. For 12 years, I have been living a lie. And that's 12 years I need to redeem. But I couldn't just redeem myself by copying other people's strategy. No, I need to redeem myself by beating this game as if I was back in 2014 and doing it on my own, using my brain to deduce the mechanics of all the animatronics and figure it out for myself. But what if I told you that in my quest for redemption, I've made a discovery? I believe I've found a method to beat Five Nights at Freddy's 2 1020 mode that no one else has tried or succeeded at. What if I...
So, pretty much what Mark is saying here is that he made his own strategy, and while that is kinda true, we'll later see that this is more of a modification of a known strategy.
Okay, that's enough out of you. 10 animatronics, 12 cameras, 1 music box, 1 flashlight, 1 mask, 0 doors, 1 pizzeria.
And one asshole I'm not even sure is an actual animatronic.
Time to begin. First up, 10 animatronics.
Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Mangle, Golden Freddy, and Balloon Boy.
So the first thing Mark talks about here is how the animatronics move. He explains that their movements are every 5 seconds, but he says that also it isn't, because they just kinda move whenever, but you can see that they move in multiples of 5. That's their movement opportunities. So every 5 seconds, using a formula, using their AI and a random number, if the random number between 1 and 20 is lower or equal to the AI, then they move. In 2020, it should be 100% of the time, because every number equal to or below 20 is, well, equal or below 20, so it's always 100%. So, but the values have a hard-coded cap, meaning that this is actually the real AI at 2020. One of the reasons we couldn't be 100% sure that Mark cheated on his original video was because of this cap, for the very small chance that Balloon Boy and Mango didn't actually move a single time.
I can see you.
Bonnie will now be brutally transformed into seconds. Chica will also be transformed into seconds.
420 Bonnie seconds per night means 70 Bonnie seconds.
This was also one of the parts that I was very confused when I was watching this for the first time, but essentially the Bonnie seconds are just regular seconds, so there are 420 seconds in the night, and Chica seconds is the amount of flashlight you have. So if you divide 420 by 50, you get 8.4. So every 8.4 seconds, you can use the flashlight for 1 second. So dividing 1 by 8.4 is 119 milliseconds. So the person that commented about my wrong math in the last video, there you go, I did better now.
Or in other words, if you use more than 119 millichica seconds of flashlight for every Bonnie second of in-game time, you will die.
Next, 1 flashlight.
Yes, we're back on the flashlight again. We are not.
The way he explained that, I just
How long will a flashlight keep an
it was
animatronic
so
frozen for?
much
It turns out 6.66 seconds.
more
And that's good.
unnecessary
It means
stuff
that if we flash
that he
an
added, but
animatronic
it's
within
whatever.
6.66 seconds, it will stay frozen so long as it is still flashed. Which animatronics are affected by the flashlight? The answer is Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Mangle, the puppet weirdly enough, and Foxy, which we're going to get to later. At the beginning of the night, Freddy, Bonnie, and Toy Chica are all in camera 7. You can freeze them even if you can't see them all in that room, they will all be frozen. In camera 2, you can get Chica and Toy Bonnie, and in camera 10, you can get Toy Freddy and Mangle. So long as you can flash these 3 rooms within 6.66 seconds, you can keep them all frozen for the entire night. That is 7 animatronics solved.
Not optimal.
So understand that I'm making this video after I've already beaten the game, and I realized this is a strategy called -7, or a modified version of it. In fact, after about 100 attempts of dying, I realized, eventually, way too late, that camera 4 is a better alternative for trapping Chica and Toy Bonnie because you don't hear the bring, bring, so you can know when Foxy is not there, which is very useful information.
Solved.
His strategy is pretty much a carbon copy of -7, except for a few very important things that will actually make it work without using an external timer.
Next. Foxy knows the truth.
Foxy can be controlled. If you flash him with the flashlight enough, he will go to sleep. How much? It's hard to say. It turns out it doesn't matter if you're holding down the flashlight.
Okay, so he's pretty much just gonna say that Foxy will live with 11 seconds of the flashlight on, and that every time you flash the flashlight, you can flash just for 1 frame. The flashlight's gonna stay on until the end of the second. So he just flashed at the very beginning, and he stopped flashing the flashlight, but the flash timer is still counting up until the second ends. So you can get at most 60 flash timer per 1 frame of flashlight if you do a frame perfect input at the very start of the second. That's not very viable, but it's still useful to know.
But follow with me here. Jingle, jangle, jingle, jangle. By minimizing
Jingle, jingle.
the time you are exposing him with pressing the control button for flashlight. And again, if you could rebind the keys, this would make it pretty easy, because then you could rebind it to mouse, and you can press a mouse a lot faster than you can press a keyboard button. Mechanical keyboards in general are bad because they have a lot of travel. You have to push them down a long distance to get it to activate, which means that travel time as it's going down and as
Well, that is true. Keyboards with, for example, Hall effect, you can actually customize the activation distance, so you can actually get frame perfect inputs. So if you can use one of those, that's good. No wonder the entire Geometry Dash community has a fucking sale device.
this game would be pretty trivial. Why can't you do that, Scott? Why can't you rebind it, Scott?
This has gone on.
This game is so old. There's no way Scott was gonna add rebinding.
20 mode. It may not seem like it, but I really have. I'm gonna give you the rough idea of my cycle that I do, but to be perfectly honest, it's gonna be better if I show you the unedited. You just get to see me play the game. You need to be able to put Foxy to bed in 3 rounds. You need to flash him for about 11 seconds total to be able to do this. You can break.
So what he's essentially saying is that he wants Foxy to be gone as Balloon Boy appears. Because when Balloon Boy appears, you're gonna have to put your mask. If you can stay in the cameras before Balloon Boy arrives, it's gonna be much better. But if you stay in cameras and Foxy is there, then Foxy is gonna kill you. So get rid of Foxy, go in cameras, stay there for a prolonged period of time, so then you can flash the cameras that the animatronics need stalling, immediately put on the mask, and then you go back to the cameras to flash. That's gonna make everything much easier. Okay, so let me actually get an example of what I'm talking about in his actual completion. So he's flashing Foxy. Balloon Boy just entered the vent. He went into the cameras. Balloon Boy did not get in the blind spot, so he can go and do another flash. And now he has dealt with Foxy, so he can spend a bunch more time in cameras while Balloon Boy is already there and essentially just refill his music box. That's the entire change of his strategy, is this moment in the cameras that he just spends more than 5 seconds in there. So he does all of his flashes, puts down the mask, and this was actually one of the scariest moments. This is like the hardest thing that can actually happen in the -7 strategy. So with how Balloon Boy works is that if you get bad enough RNG, you're gonna have to put the mask for exactly 5 seconds. And that's bad because you have 6.66 seconds to flash every single cameras in these 3 cameras. So with 5 seconds of putting on the mask, with having the mask on, you're only gonna have 1.66 seconds to put down the cameras, put down the mask, put up the mask, put up the cameras, and start flashing it. I'm gonna take this clip as an example and I'm gonna time it for you, just so you can see how close it actually was. so you really do have to be really good at being fast. And you have to do this perfectly for the 7 minutes that the night goes on. Not use too much flashlight. Here he actually messed up a lot, and I think it's flashes. Puts down the mask but puts up. This almost guarantees him that he won't have enough time to go back and flash the flashlight if he gets better RNG, and in this case he pretty much does. He misses camera 10 and Toy Freddy moves.
Motherfucker.
So you can see it's weird that it's only Toy Freddy. I honestly don't know why it's only Toy Freddy. I'm not sure what cameras each character can be in, but here is another 5-second mask. So if he can actually recover from this, then he will be back in the main cycle, and he will essentially recovered something that if you just learned how to do the -7 strategy by itself and you didn't actually learn the mechanics of the game, you'd essentially not be able to recover from this. But because Markplier actually went and learned the entire fucking game, he learned how everything works, he knows that Toy Freddy will go back to that camera, and he essentially gets the flashes. Even if Balloon Boy was there, he was gonna leave. It's not a very recoverable position, but you can recover from it. As you can see, his flashlight is about to end. He got some bad RNG there. He misses camera 10 again, and Toy Freddy moves again. Another thing that I want to show you is at about 3 AM, he has exactly one thing of flashlight, and you might think this is pretty bad because half of the night and he's only at 1 bar. But this, so the very last bar is actually about half. I'm not exactly sure how much of battery this is. So by 3 AM, this is perfectly reasonable. Now, one of the things that I didn't understand at first was how Golden Freddy was here and just not killing Mark. This is one of the things that you might also be confused, but it's just because Golden Freddy is just so irrelevant in any FNAF 2 strategy, except for one, but I'm not going to talk about that. Golden Freddy does something very strange, that he does not require you to immediately put the mask on. As long as you put the mask on before flashing the hall or pulling up the cameras, he won't kill you. So he can just stay there and chill with you. And now for the craziest part of this run.
Do I have it? Is that it?
The Foxy jump scare is so perfect, but I'm gonna ruin everything for you. You thought this was a 1 in a bazillion chance. I'm gonna ruin it for you because I love ruining the fun of people. Let's take a look at when the night started. Okay, so his run started at 05 exactly. Keep that in mind. He flashed at 50. So that was the last 5-second interval that he flashed. So it's enough, just barely enough to get him past the 55.
Do I have it? Is that it?
Not really. Then, okay, so he actually started the run 5 seconds earlier. It doesn't matter. So essentially, if his flashlight ran out about here at 15:46, his flashlight running out between 46 and before 50 essentially meant that he had a guaranteed Foxy jump scare at 6 AM, because how Foxy works is if the kill timer goes above 5 or whatever the kill timer actually is, then Foxy is gonna have a flag called got you to be set to true. And when that flag is set to true, as soon as you flash the light or pass through a 10-second interval, Foxy will kill you. Mark doesn't have the flashlight here anymore, so the next 10-second interval is 7 minutes or 6 AM, which is exactly when Foxy killed him, but since it was 6 AM, he also won. So that's what happened. So yeah, he had a 5-second window to have the flashlight run out. And with how tight this strategy actually is, do have a very high chance of actually having the flashlight run out. But let's take a look at his reaction now.
I am so shaky. Yeah! Yes! That's what I'm talking about!
I'm quite sure
That's what I'm fucking talking about. Where is
I'm
it?
100% sure. Okay, I'm not
No.
100% sure he didn't shoot, but it's very, very likely that this run is 100% legit. I completely believe Mark, and he's very confused about the third star not being there. It's there. So the third star is actually from 420 mode. It was the challenge that he did in his real video, and he passed off as Golden Freddy mode.
Our, oh my fucking God. I thought, oh, holy shit. I thought for a second it didn't give it to me. I thought for a second that it was gonna be, oh, oh, oh.
I just want to say huge congrats to Mark for pulling something this crazy, and there's actually a strategy called the Markplier strategy for 50-20 mode, which is just doing it without cheesing any animatronics. I haven't really watched any of his streams of 50-20, but I think he's gonna do something like that, and I'm excited to see him do that. Subscribe to me, subscribe to Mark, and watch my other FNAF videos, like the one that's on the screen right now.